drugs, no artificial sweeteners, and tastes amazing. Bye.
Now, on Friday, President Trump signed an executive order to weaken regulations on Wall Street, known as Dodd-Frank. Now, for those of you who might not know what Dodd-Frank essentially is, basically it's a set of regulations created in 2010 with the aim of preventing another financial crisis that crashed the economy like it did in 2008. Now, of course, some of the provisions here in the Act serve to rein in mortgage practices and derivatives trading and curb the ability of banks to trade with their own money in a measure known as the Volcker Rule. Now, I'm a proponent of the Volcker Rule. I think it's smart to be able to do that. Now, another thing that it created, and I'll get into more detail in the next segment, is the fiduciary rule. Now, the fiduciary rule simply required brokers to act in a client's best interest, rather than seek the highest profits for themselves. And now, that's of course when providing advice for retirements. For example, when people have a 401k. You want to get good advice because, look, if you're a regular working person, and at one point I had a 401k, and I'm looking at stock options, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Here I am, at 23, 24, working at a factory, and they're like, pick the stocks you want to go with, dude. Are you serious? I don't know what half these things are. I don't know what any of this means. So to expect regular people to be able to pick a good company without financial help, without people without people like advisors to go and help you pick a stock to invest in, is crazy. So that's why you need financial advisors. And before this rule, the fiduciary rule, these advisors can be like, yeah, I'm going to sell them a bunch of crap. I'm still going to get paid, and actually we're going to get paid more. We're going to get some kickbacks from these companies if I go and tell them to invest in this stock, which is actually risky and highly dangerous. Hey, and if you lose your retirement, that's not my problem. I'm not here to serve you. I'm here to serve the people who pay me more money. And in this case, it's not you. So, I mean, there it is. No. Let's go past that fiduciary rule. Now, one of the things that it also did was create the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And this is just part of it. This is actually a very complicated piece of legislation. There are many different moving parts and pieces to it. Now, in response to how complicated this is, Donald Trump and the gang, they decide, what we're going to do. We're not going to take a scalpel. We're not going to remove what we consider to be excessive regulation, which I think is ridiculous because I've always thought that Dodd-Frank was weak in the first place. But okay, if you come at it from a Republican perspective, there might be some things that you could tweak or remove or whatever that might make it a little bit more quote-unquote business-friendly, which is good for the banks. Again, I will disagree with that, but I'm trying to see it from their side. Now, instead of doing that, Donald Trump and his team, they're going to take a hacksaw to it. Like, here we come. Like, we're going to Hello Johnny this one. Is that a good reference? I don't know if I got that right. All right. Now, the New York Times explains that taken together, Mr. Trump's actions on Friday constitute an extensive effort to loosen regulations on banks and other major financial companies. So now, the question is, why do this? I mean, didn't he campaign against the global financial elite? Isn't that one of the campaign promises? I mean, we're going to take on the global financial elite, and we're going to make it work for regular people. Oh, really? Okay. Well, this should explain it. During a meeting with the business leaders, Trump reportedly said, "We expect to be cutting a lot out of Dodd-Frank because, frankly, I have so many people, friends of mine, that had nice businesses. They can't borrow money. They just can't get any money because the banks just won't let them borrow it because of the rules and regulations in Dodd-Frank." Now, this is funny because Donald Trump probably does not have any friends that are trying to borrow money because all of his friends can probably borrow money. The person who can't borrow money is Donald Trump. You see, Donald Trump, if you look into his past, if you look into the investments he's had and the amount of times that he's went bankrupt, no bank would actually loan out to him. So he had to go and to fund his casinos, for example, in Atlantic City, he had to go and take out junk bonds, which ended up having incredibly high interest rates. He couldn't pay those bonds back after his casinos fell through, and he again, had to declare bankruptcy. Idiot. Who crashes a casino in Atlantic City? Of all places. I thought the House is always supposed to win. Not with Donald Trump, because he can bungle just about anything. But see, that's who he's referring to. It's not, oh, my friends can't borrow money because of rules in Dodd-Frank. No, it's, I can't borrow money because of rules in Dodd-Frank. And because nobody's stupid enough to give me more money. So, this is what we have going on, man. Now, Dodd-Frank basically just makes sure that companies can't do shady shit like sell you subprime mortgages and things like liar loans. And very high-risk loans and high-interest loans. The ones that Donald Trump was used to getting. Related to that is they prevent companies from loaning out money to people they know that they can't pay it back. And then going and betting on it, the fact that they'll default and can't pay those loans back. As for the claim that banks, of course, are not lending anymore, no. The Times notes that banks have increased their consumer lending, like credit cards and auto loans, and have generally expanded their lending to businesses. So again, what we have from Donald Trump is nothing more than alternative facts. That's what we have here. Now, they also point out that as he announced his goals on financial deregulation, Mr. Trump sat beside Stephen A. Schwarzman. Now, I'll get more into Schwarzman in the next segment. Now, Schwarzman is the chief executive of the private equity giant known as the Blackstone Group and the chairman of his business council, who said that the panel would, quote, advise the government on the areas where we could do things a lot better in our country for all Americans. Translation, for us and our shareholders, not for you. We're going to do what's best for us, not for you. And if we have to crash the economy to do it, oh well, there you go. Look, man, here's the thing, right? They want to make it easier for banks to prey on regular people. And see, this is what regulations are designed to do. They're designed to protect you from being taken advantage of by predatory capitalism. For example, like the banks, like what led to the 2008 housing crisis. Regulations, they're not there to necessarily hurt you. There's some that there's a situation where things can be over-regulated. I understand that. Not all regulations are fantastic, but most regulations are there for a reason. They're simply rules. They're to ensure that you don't get cheated so that a company can make an extra buck off you. Now remember when Trump was saying that he was going to drain the swamp. I'm going to drain the swamp. Well, then of course later on he says, you know, I was just kidding. That's kind of hokey, but it played well, so I went with it. There's actually video of him saying, yeah, it played well, but I didn't actually mean it. I mean, it's hokey. You know, that same thing, of course, with lock her up. Oh, it plays well. It plays well. Now, he also said, again, one of his commercials, his last commercial, actually, of the campaign, was him going after, or saying that he'd go after the global financial elite. And he had a picture of Lloyd Blankfein's face, Goldman Sachs. Now he's got Goldman Sachs literally in his cabinet. Now, at the same time that he announced these rollbacks of financial regulations, he said, quote, there's nobody better to tell me about Dodd-Frank than Jamie. So you're going to tell me all about it. Now, who's Jamie? Who is Jamie? Not Jamie Lannister? No, not Jamie Lannister. Although a Lannister always pays his debts. No. He's referring to Jamie Dimon, head of J.P. Morgan Chase. Now, J.P. Morgan Chase, after the recession, or during the recession in 2008, after the banks pretty much just crashed, well, J.P. Morgan Chase and his company got $12 billion in bank bailout money, at least. Now, this is taxpayer money. This is your money, given to the banks because they lost it by gambling on things like risky derivatives and subprime mortgages. The very things that Dodd-Frank was created to stop. Now, look, over the years, I've been critical of Dodd-Frank because I don't think it was strong enough. In fact, it was fairly weak sauce regulation because they chipped away at it. They chipped away at it. And it didn't really stop a whole lot of the things that it was supposed to stop, but it stopped something. So, but again, Donald Trump wants to get rid of it. And of course, who better to tell him about what regulations to destroy than Jamie Dimon? And seriously. If you think Jamie Dimon, J.P. Morgan, or any of the guys on Wall Street, Goldman Sachs, you think they learned their lesson? Think again, man. I mean, maybe it depends on what lesson you're thinking. He learned, and I think they all learned, that if you fuck up, the government will just come and bail you out. And if it doesn't, if your company does go bankrupt, you just end up getting a golden parachute. And you just float your ass down while your company's on fire. All those people losing their jobs, all those people losing their retirement, your pensions, all of that. These are the kinds of people that are advising Donald Trump. Stephen Mnuchin, former Goldman Sachs guy. Gary Cohn, who's the chairman of Trump's National Economic Council, also former Goldman Sachs guy. And then Stephen Bannon, right? Bannon, Donald Trump's number one advisor, Goldman Sachs. I wonder who they're going to represent me. Look, again, Dodd-Frank, in my opinion, too weak. But at least it did something to try to protect consumers. And without these rules, which thankfully will be difficult to dismantle, the banks are going to have open season on regular Americans. Just like what led up to the crash in the first place. This shows that Donald Trump, he's not there to govern. He's there to dismantle. His advisors are getting ready to loot the place, to loot the government. And everybody knows the first thing that you do when you want to rob something is get rid of the cops. That's what he's going after, the CFPB. These regulations in Dodd-Frank, they're disempowering the regulators, the cops. They're taking the guns away from the cops. Because they want to rob the place. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.